Okay, so slightly different video in store today. Rather than a use case, I'm actually going to break down kind of the behind the scenes, if you will, about the most recent use case I did. So if you haven't seen that, I highly recommend go check out that video. It's on LinkedIn and on YouTube. But effectively, the synopsis of that video, which I'm not going to fully go through here, but was identifying Windows backups, both in the capacity of compliance and auditing of your environment, and also for potential IOCs for data exfil if they seem abnormal. So with that said, that's enough of that use case, but I did create some really cool queries I put in a query pack, which thematically correlated sets of queries that you're running to kind of paint a full picture. But one of these queries, or a couple of these queries, are pretty verbose. And so I'm going to break down this one as an example. And really, what I wanted to show is actually the process by which I got here. Naturally, every vendor and every vendor's video, every marketing video that exists out there is going to show the tool in the most positive light that exists, right? It's going to kind of cut out the middle and go from A to D. That's not disingenuous. It's more just focusing on here's the problem, here's how we solved it, here's the value prop, right? So, while that's all well and good and probably what the majority of you care about, if you're one of the like 5% of absolute weirdos like I am and like to see how the sausage is made and how you get from point A to point D and actually what B and C entail, that's why I'm making this video. It may not appeal to many people, but hey, I like this stuff. I think it's interesting. So let's break it down. So we have this super cool query. It's extracting the JSON out of the Windows event log for the sysmon channel, which we can actually see down here, channel operational sysmon with an event ID of 1. And then we can also see here it's specifying only where the original file name is like WB admin. The original query, which you'll see, I actually look for the command line of WB admin. For what it's worth, the reason I switched to original file name is because actually the query creations themselves are logging to sysmon. So I got some unnecessary results that I was filtering out. But this looks like a robust query that would take me personally, without AI, ages to write. But when I say that AI wrote these queries for me, specifically AI queries specialized AI within QuerySmith, I mean it. I may not show every single step, but it did write it for me because otherwise this would take me forever. So I actually want to show a little trick and actually how I got there. So first I prompted AI with the Windows event log mode, which I mentioned many times, special context to help it know what to extract. And then we can see here, I say, write me a sysmon query with event ID of 1 where command line contains wbadmin.exe. So I could have said process creations, but I know process creations within sysmon are an event ID of 1, which is why I said that. So what AI is doing right here is it's generating a good query based on my ask, right? It is calling the channel, the correct channel of sysmon, operational, the event ID of 1 for process creations, and then adding a logic statement of if the command line contains wbadmin.exe. That's perfect. That's everything I'm asking it to do. However, the only caveat to throw in here, and this is actually intentional by design, is that it's not obviously getting every aspect of that log. It's getting the aspects that it deems important based on the context it's provided. For me, I care about the command line. That's what I told AI. I care about the command line, so it's extracting the command line. But there's a lot more information in this log that could be gathered. In general, the reason that this is intentional, and I think this is very important, is that in my personal opinion, one of the best use cases of AI query with something like Sysmon or Windows Event Log is that you don't have to gather every log or even every component of every log, just the critical information. It's all about signal to noise ratio. If you can eliminate the noise with needless data being, not grabbed proactively, but rather if you see a signal, then gather all surrounding data, that can expedite your response time. But outside of that, if you're dumping all this data to a SIM or something, it can also save you literal money that you're not having to send all this useless data that you're filtering out anyway, except for a one-off situation, by just getting the critical components and then adding the actual one-off information. Now, with that said, I don't actually know the full contents or structure of sysmon event ID 1's log. So while this is helpful based on my ask, I don't know what I could be missing or what else I could get. So I have a little trick for that, which is actually exactly this, and I'll just show you how I do it. I copy and paste one of these extract commands, right? So I have this here. I control V, and then first you have to remove the comma because it's next to the from, and I say as raw log. And then right here, I change this to just event data dot. So I know this is the structure because AI provided it and it's very good at providing these structures, but I actually want to get all actual JSON sub elements within this event data. So I'll run this, and then I already have, just for the sake of making this video a little bit more expedient. And what we can see is that we have those events, right? And then we have the command line, which is the main element that we're looking for. And in that video, this is actually the element that I was looking for right here. But what we can also see is we have this raw log. And if we hover over it, we get the actual full contents. So what I like to do is I actually like to go ahead and copy that really simply, go back to AI and say, update the following schema with this syntax. And I just give it the full log. So that now goes ahead and updates everything. And that's where refine is beautiful because generate is very good for what you're asking it, right? It's going to generate and it has a high degree of confidence. It's going to generate a query for you as a very helpful starting point, and maybe that's the end point. But sometimes maybe you need to massage that data a little bit more, and it's not with a ton of additional research or anything like that. Use the tools built in, gather that log contents, feed it back into AI, and watch AI do its work, and go ahead and actually create you this very pretty end net goal of all of the fields. Now that I have all of the fields that exist in a nice, simple to read format, I can go ahead and remove things like the company, the product, the description. I don't care about those things, right? I care about the image, the user, maybe even not the login GUID if I didn't need to, or, maybe the hash. But the point is that now I have the full picture. So I got the important information, right, in the very first query, which is exactly what I asked it for, the command line, with the logic loop of filtering out and the right channel. And then I was like, okay, well, let me see what else I could get. Then I gather that information with this little raw output, feed it back into AI, and now I have this beautiful, and I ask it to format it more pretty, but now I have this beautiful all-encompassing query that I can then progressively whittle down. So that's ultimately how I get to a lot of these queries, because those 3 extra seconds that it takes for me to copy paste back in and ask AI make it so that I have a query that is high fidelity, confirmed, and I can optimize for my given use case and then save it, run it on a schedule, use it one off later, and moving forward. So that was kind of what I wanted to walk through, and actually how I personally use my own tool to get the end net queries that I talked to you all about. And just to call it out for you sleuths who are like, oh, well, it must not have worked because I see 2 branches. This is actually what we call an ID10T error, otherwise known as an idiot error, because I said update the schema with the following syntax and did not copy and paste the following syntax. So AI is doing exactly what it's supposed to do and literally confirmed nothing. So it's like, yeah, bro, you forgot to add anything. So anyway, it works exactly as expected. I thought that was a cool use case and a really nice way to deal with these robust logs that you may not pre-know all of the actual syntactical nuance between these logs. So hopefully that was helpful or somewhat interesting. But yeah, that was pretty much all I had. So again, check out our videos on YouTube and LinkedIn, especially the most recent one where I'm actually running this query and showing you the results. And until next time, everybody, see ya.